So, how do you master your energy? My name's Elizabeth Eleanor, and I'm an intuitive empath. And I've been challenged to do 365 days on YouTube, telling the story of my spiritual awakening, which was 27 years ago, and all the magic that's happened in between. I've had everything from 3 shooting stars to meeting the love of my life on the beach. My maiden name was Payne, Payne, and his last name is Makepeace. And these are the sort of things that can happen when you acknowledge and move into a vibration of fifth dimension. So I got to this point where I realized that not everyone recognized what was going on with their energy, because we often leak energy all over the place. We give our power away. As soon as we think of someone, our vibration can go down. We're often in this place of having holes in our aura because we are not sovereign in our container, in our auric field. So I was doing a modality called EQT, energetic quantum transformation, and I was working with women mainly that had a lot of challenges in their solar plexus. And this is where our power center is, right? So I would check to see how they are with what I call the three powers. This came about, through this process when I realized power, powerless, and empowerment. And a lot of women had an issue with empowerment and being powerless. So higher self gives me this information, and a story starts happening where I start recognizing that empowerment is not something that the definition of empowerment is defined well in society, and not many people understand where that comes from. So let me tell you the story. So powerless is pretty easy to experience, right? Or to understand. You often see people that are powerless. There's a physical representation of it where they're hunched over, they're not straight and strong and confident. They are often people pleasers, victims, all of those things. They give their power away very easily to others. They're very make excuses, distracted. They fawn. They tend to move away from things rather than take them on head on. And they all of us can give our power away to different things, right? To our beliefs, to the government, to police, to other people, to rituals and routines and all of those things. We can give our power away and not be in our sovereignty. Power is another a thing altogether. So power is when it's a force, right? So there's this energy that's forcing out. And often people see power and think aggressiveness, assertiveness, force, all of those things. Power can also come as manipulation. It can be a bit slippery and slimy, right? It can be underhanded in a way, trying to take control, being coercive, all of those things. And power can also come in the form of looking like they're powerless because they get energy from being victimized, or from, all those people that really love people, getting that sympathy and attention when they're sick, or something's gone wrong to them, right? So they get attention that way. So they're getting power from feeling powerless. Very strange, right? But it does happen. Empowerment is a totally different process altogether. So empowerment, when you're living in power and powerless, you're living in duality, right? So there's this us and them, there's this right and wrong, good and bad, and power and powerless. Like power is trying to take over, powerless is being taken from. Empowerment is self-generated. It doesn't play that game. It's not something that is external, it's an internal process. And empowered has this limitless energy. So the energy is because it's connected to source, it's to its own light. And so there's this continuous energy of light when you're empowered. You feel this confidence and self-assurance and sovereignty and, you know, ability to make decisions and all of those things. There's this internal process rather than an external process where it's trying to get validation from others. So empowerment has an interesting process, because when you're empowered, you can constantly give, right? Because you know that there's no limit to your supply, right? So you can constantly give. And it doesn't take, because when you're empowered, you recognize that taking is against universal laws and it doesn't feel right, right? As soon as you take, there's an energy of taking, then you can feel the discord, and you don't want to do that to yourself, right? You know, not even it's about the other person. You don't want to feel that feeling yourself, because when you're taking and you're going into this power state, you feel yourself drop into third dimension, right? And it doesn't feel good. So it doesn't matter about anybody else. The feeling of empowerment is in this sovereignty of wanting to experience the light of itself just for itself, right? It's got no agenda. Now, the other part of empowerment is giving. When it gives and gives and gives, and it wants to serve. The thing about it is that as soon as there's someone around that is trying to manipulate, is in that power process or powerless in one of the dualities, then empowerment will choose not to play that game and will cut that energy off. Now, it sounds harsh, right? When you're empowered, if you've got all this energy, you'd think, why aren't they giving this energy to others, right? Serving at the highest form and all of those things. The reason being is because it will not be manipulated and it will not be coerced, and it will not have its energy taken from it in an unauthentic way, or out of disintegrity, if that's a word. What happens is, as soon as empowerment comes into contact with someone that's powerless, it will support and love. But as soon as that powerless person starts relying on that empowered person, they know, the empowered person knows that the powerless is getting energy from the wrong source, is getting it from a person rather than really moving into that space of connecting with themselves and their higher self. And so they know, again, against the universal laws, and they recognize that they don't want to be taking away the contracts and the corrections that soul has destined it, is destined to experience. It empowered people, or empowered energy, will only give when it feels right, when it's a free flowing process through the energy of the universe. When the energy is being taken and it's out of that and it's got a discord to it, it will stop doing so, right? And it'll have empathy and compassion for that person, but it knows that that's the best for that person. And the same with power, people that are trying to power over, manipulate, coerce, get something that's not theirs, like when someone is empowered, they will cut their energy off and not allow that person to be a parasite, right? And to vampire energy from the person, right? because again, same deal. It will not allow that energy to experience that validation through a person. There is always got to be a connection to a higher self. So when I started learning this and teaching this, and one of the things, I share is a story about the lioness. So I share the story here. So the lioness is laying out with with her cubs, and she's out on the savannah or whatever, and she's loving life and just enjoying the sun, and really in that beautiful process of maybe she's just eaten and fed the cubs or whatever, and the cubs are hanging out and they're playing, and one of the cubs bites her tail, right? And she's okay with it. And then another one bites the tail and she's okay with it. And then another one bites the tail and she's not okay with it anymore, right? So she turns around and swipes at the cubs, right? To get them to see where her boundary is, right? You've just crossed the mark. It's you've crossed over the line. Now, because the cubs have been raised a certain way and they've been raised to be sovereign beings too, they don't feel victimized. They don't feel like they're being punished. They just go, oh, yeah, we crossed the line. Sorry, mum, right? And they back off, right? Out of respect. And then they go playing again. Now, the lioness, she doesn't go and whinge and complain to her other lioness friends that her kids are little brats. She doesn't punish them. She doesn't take the PlayStation off them. She doesn't stop talking to them for, months on end. She just says her mark. She communicates how she's feeling in that moment, lets everyone know what her truth is, and then she just goes back to enjoying the sun again, right? She's not holding on to it because the energy hasn't been taken from her by the biting of the tail, and she is not taking from the cubs either. It's all just an energy exchange of this is who I am. I see who you're being and you're disrespecting me. I'm just letting you know this is the mark, right? Imagine if we had a world full of mothers that were in that space and fathers that were in that space. What a beautiful place it would be. Well, what happened was I recognized that I had a lot of people around me that were wanting to move into that place of being empowered rather than living in this duality of power and powerless. And there's a few little factors that go with that. Understanding your energy, being aware of your environment, actually tracking who you are and recognizing who you are in your person. All of those things are part of the layers of getting to understand you as a human being, right? So I created my first online course called Awaken the Lioness. It's a 12-week course, and basically it takes you through those layers of stripping down and understanding who you are underneath. It's really all about self-awareness, because it's about finding out who you are underneath the mask, underneath all of the conditioning and programming from our childhood, and then really finding that next level where you are sitting in the place of being able to be a sovereign being, right? And it's a beautiful, beautiful course. I've had a lot of beautiful women go through it and get some amazing results and start understanding where they're giving their power away, when they might be powering over others, and how to really connect in. We do a lot of work on the chakras. There's all sorts of stuff in there, and it's a beautiful course. So Awaken the Lioness is something that came through, even for those people that feel like they're new to spiritual work and energy work. In fact, it's actually designed specifically for those people, so that it's really a step-by-step process of recognizing all the things that you already innately have and you may not recognize it. So and even for those people that feel like they've been on a spiritual path for a long time, it's a really good place to find some sort of foundational place, because often we can skip that part and then try and work out why isn't it working for us over here when we've got all the energy work going on. And it's because you haven't done the deeper work of understanding yourself on all levels. So my first course, it was really beautiful. I started it maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. Actually, I think maybe it's been 6 years. And we've had, well over 100 people go through that. And it's really the start of understanding who you are on a deeper level, from the physical, the body, and from the spirit. So if you're interested in following me along, and this is your first video, hi, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the bell. If you've been following me along, thank you so much, and hi again that you're here. All my little bits are downstairs in the box below, so if you want to check out my website, and you're interested in awakening the lioness, just click the link. There's some more information about it on the website, and I will catch you tomorrow.